A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another graphic novel review today. Now today I am starting off kind of a mini series of reviews. This is going to be the Batman One Bad Day collection. I have the hardcover deluxe, which are just fucking beautiful. And we're going to start with Tom King and the Riddler today. So, look at the art on the cover, just fucking gorgeous. Now, I had heard about these series of One Bad Day, which stems from Alan Moore's Batman: The Killing Joke, where the Joker firmly believes that all it takes is one bad day to turn anyone kind of into a villain, and that's kind of the premise of this series of books. They focus on all of Batman's major rogues gallery. And yeah, I'm just going to say up front, if you don't want this spoiled, I will tell you they turn the Riddler into an absolute badass in this book. This is one of the best Riddler stories I've ever read. So we're just going to get straight on to the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
So this is Batman One Bad Day, the Riddler. Tom King did the writing. He did a fantastic run on Batman Rebirth, where his arc basically set up Bane as the big bad. It had a lot of detractors. A lot of people said the story went on for too long. The War of Jokes and Riddles, just a phenomenal little kind of setup in the middle there. And of course, Tom King was the one responsible for the death of Alfred at the hands of Bane. Make of that what you will. Like I said in the intro, I absolutely love the cover here. And we open it up to get this great Riddler shot. Let me see if... yeah, that's a bit better. Okay. So, kind of starts out with some salaryman guy who's talking to his wife on the phone, and his wife is saying, your daughter doesn't want to go to soccer practice. And he's like, listen, she says that, but she really wants to go. And they have this, it's not an argument, it's kind of a discussion. He says, listen, I'm not going to get the train home. I'll call a car from the office and I'll see you when I get home. And then we get this security camera footage of him leaving the office, the Riddler coming up behind him and shooting him in the head, and then walking up to the security camera and just holding up a Batman card. Commissioner Gordon has got him in interrogation, and the Riddler is basically just being the Riddler, giving him the runaround. He wants to talk to Batman. And then we get this, whenever the pages are this color, it's the Riddler's backstory. So he's a student in this fancy kind of school. His father is the headmaster. And his father is disappointed with his grades. He got an A. He didn't get an A+, and it was because the teacher, for the final question, put a riddle on the paper, and he thought that was unfair. Because of that, his father basically canes him and is basically screaming at him, are you the son of a whore? And he's like, no, sir. Whose son are you? Blah, 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 blah. So we get some idea that his father is this abusive, angry man. We're at the funeral of the gentleman that was killed. Bruce Wayne talks to his wife, and his wife is basically like, the kids need me back at the wake. Stay here a little bit longer, because Bruce feels guilty about this because the Riddler has basically used this murder to call him out. On another test, the teacher has put another riddle. What is the English word most commonly spelled incorrectly? And he thinks it's enough, but the answer is in fact incorrectly. He got it wrong, so he goes into his father's office and he's really despondent at this point. I mean, he's just a kid. There's so much pressure on him. And he takes a gun out of his father's drawer, which is empty, but he points it to his head and pulls the trigger. And then he kind of assumes the position that he knows his father's going to make him assume. We get this guy who's being kind of dunked up and down with sharks around him. And he's ultimately killed. Next, we get this character, Burt Weston, who is in Arkham Asylum, and he's just slit his own throat. And we find out that he's next to Edward Nygma. So the Riddler cell is next to his. And Burt Weston is the villain known as Film Freak. And he asked a question to the Riddler. The Riddler answered it correctly. And so he basically took his own life. Okay, now we have Batman kind of tracking down or trying to get to the bottom of why the Riddler would kind of do this. And he arrives at this shack in basically the middle of nowhere. The boy, the young Riddler, confronts the teacher and tells him basically what you've done is not fair. You can't expect, if the riddle was an extra credit question, that's fine. But as it's not, it's unfair and I'm going to report you. And he's like, why do you hate me so much? And the guy's like, I don't hate you, but you just take academics too seriously. You don't need to live up to what people expect you to be. A guard goes to give the Riddler his meal, and the Riddler basically traps his fingers in the slot until he manages to crack them off. The Batman confronts this gentleman who fires at him. We find out that this is the Riddler's father, who was the former principal. And we find out as well that through the Batman's investigations that this guy had a son with a prostitute, and that the son was incredibly intelligent, so the father pushed him into academics, and that's what got him to this fancy school that the father was a principal at. But of course, being the son of the principal and not having a lot of money, he was picked on, but the father is like, he's nothing but an idiot and a disappointment. So, back when he's at school, Edward tricks his father into leaving the office, and then he breaks into the teacher's kind of notes and discovers the test, just because he wants a heads up on the riddle that the teacher is going to give. And once he gets that riddle, he knows what the answer is going to be. They are going to move the Riddler now because the Riddler has been manipulating everyone. Commissioner Gordon wants the guards, like the minute he does something, just take him out. But the Riddler, being the Riddler, manages to manipulate all of these guards, and they end up basically killing each other because the Riddler lets them know, I know where your family is. Once I'm out of here, they're dead. And the guards are like, fuck that shit. And they end up killing each other, leaving only Commissioner Gordon alive. So the Batman, during his investigation, discovers that the Riddler's mother is dead. He talks to some neighbors, or a neighbor, I should say, and the neighbor says, this is what I heard. She was a nice woman. Sure, she did some bad things. I had no problem with her. She did what she had to do. But I heard this confrontation between her and a man, and then I didn't hear from her again, and I don't know what happened. Commissioner Gordon calls Batman, lets him know that everyone is basically scared of the Riddler, and Batman needs to get to the bottom of it. The teacher that has been putting riddles in the exams meets the young Edward on the basketball court, and they talk, and the teacher tells him, I know you cheated on the test because I changed the riddle at the last minute, and your answer was the answer for the previous riddle that I put on there. I'm going to have to tell your father about this. And Edward's like, you can't tell my father. And he's like, I'm sorry, I've got to. So Edward kicks him in the back of the head, and then he's like, I'm sorry, you can't tell my father, you can't tell my father, and then breaks the teacher's neck and leaves him dead on the basketball court. We move to the basketball court in Arkham, where Edward wants to meet with Batman, and Batman can't work out why he did what he did. We find out that Edward was the man that confronted his mother and ended up killing her. And he basically says to Batman, listen, if you ever touch me again, I'll kill a family. If you ever do anything to me, you know what I'm going to do. I will kill one of your Robins. And he basically admits that, yes, he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, that he has broken into Wayne Manor, that he found Bruce Wayne safe in the living room and stole $1 just to see if Bruce would know that money was missing. He's watched him sleep. Like, this is how intelligent they've made the Riddler to be, which is a super creepy conversation. And ultimately, the Riddler is set free because nobody wants to do anything against him because they know what he can do in retaliation. Bruce Wayne goes to visit the widow of the man that was killed at the beginning, and she can't understand why is this man being set free, and Bruce kind of feels guilty about this. The Riddler, in the meantime, basically goes on a crime spree. He's living in a hotel. He's doing whatever he wants. Banks are told if he comes in, just give him the money because there's no point in fighting back because he will basically destroy you and everything you hold dear. What Batman realizes is that the Riddler expects Batman to act a certain way. That is, to not harm him so he won't harm other people. And yet we see that Batman realizes this and is coming for the Riddler in the end. What a fucking amazing Riddler story. This was phenomenal. I love the little bit of backstory you got about the Riddler as a kid. I love the fact that the Riddler is stepping up his game, that he's no longer a gimmick in this anymore, that he's actually a bona fide fucking psychopath. It was brilliant. So, at the end, we get the cover gallery, which I always love. They are just so cool. And then we have a black and white art gallery as well, which just looks phenomenal. And then some stuff at the end. So that, my friends, was Batman One Bad Day, the Riddler. Loved it. This really puts the Riddler up there for me. I want to go out and hunt out some more Batman Riddler stories now. I always liked the character, but there are other more interesting Batman characters around. Now, however, the Riddler is up there. I mean, just go and read The War of Jokes and Riddles. It's just phenomenal. It is so, so good, where the Riddler goes up against the Joker. So, there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell. But most importantly, everyone, stay safe, have a fantastic rest of your day, and solve a fucking riddle, people.